Welcome to something short and sweet this week on Lag BaOmer. What is the celebration of Lag BaOmer? There are famously two understandings. One, I think you could call the halachic understanding. It's based in a Gemara in Yevamis, Daf Samach Beis Amud Beis 62b. Shneim Osar Talmidim Hayolol Rebbe Akiva. Rebbe Akiva had 12,000 pairs of Talmidim. He give us the Aran Tifras, the large swath of the Holy Land. V'kula mesu beperak echad. And each and every one of them died during one season. Our Mefarshim tell us that it was between Pesach and Shavuos. Why did they die? The Gemara is very clear. Because they didn't honor one another. The Gemara says that they were, the Medrash actually says that they were tsarei ayin zed bozeh. They were stingy one with the other, with their knowledge. V'hoya ha'olam shamem. And the world was desolate. Ad sheba Rebbe Akiva, until Rebbe Akiva came, Eitzel Rabbeinu Shebedoro. He came to a new cadre of students who are called our masters of the South, the Shana Lahem, and he taught them. Who were they? Reb Meir, Reb Yehuda, Reb Yossi, Reb Shimon, Reb Eliezer ben Shamua. 5 students. V'heim ha'emidu Torah osasha. And it is they that once again raised the banner of Torah in that hour. Rabbi Akiva, who was the link in the chain of the tradition of Torah Sinai, he now has his new students. The chain of Torah is able to continue down to our time. So if you look in the Shulchan Aruch, and you look, for example, in the Mishnah Berurah, it'll say that the celebration of Lag BaOmer is because the students stopped dying on Lag BaOmer. But I think we all have to admit that that's very difficult, because they stopped dying because they were all gone. What kind of a celebration is that? If a few had been left, it would be cause for celebration. No more died. But they're all dead, all wiped out. V'hoisa ha'olam shamem, says the Gemara. The world was desolate. Why celebrate? One would imagine that a lesser man than Rebbe Akiva would have been devastated. This was Rebbe Akiva's work. He raised a great school of students. And we would imagine that one of the major themes in that yeshiva, one of the major topics that Rebbe Akiva would discuss was V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. You remember it was Rebbe Akiva that said, Zeh klal gadol b'Torah. That is the great principle behind the entire Torah. Love your fellow as yourself. And Rebbe Akiva's students die. They didn't respect each other. They were tsarei ayin zed bozeh. They didn't care about each other enough not to withhold their knowledge and their goodness from one another. It must have been absolutely devastating for Rebbe Akiva. He was a failure. And all of his students, and we know great Tana like Rebbe Akiva, his students were like his children. 24,000 of them. Rebbe Akiva was not a young man. We know Rebbe Akiva was already midlife, when he started learning. It was many years, it was 24 years before he developed into the great man that he was. And it's clearly many years later, he was not a young man. A lesser person would have given up. Not Rebbe Akiva. Rebbe Akiva was a man of hope. Rebbe Akiva was a man who saw that you put one leg in front of the other and you achieve. That you put in one day and the next day and the next day and you achieve. Rebbe Akiva would not give up. So the Gemara is telling us, he went Eitzel Rabbeinu Shebedoro. He found another group of students, 5 students, and he began to teach them. The great master, the Chidah, he argues that it was Lag BaOmer that he found his new students. I would imagine it's not the same Lag BaOmer, maybe the next following year, maybe 2 years later, maybe 3 years later. But it was on Lag BaOmer that Rebbe Akiva began again. Rebbe Akiva, the great man of hope, Rebbe Akiva, who on the Temple Mount saw the destruction of the temple and all of his chaverim, they all cried. Rebbe Akiva saw positivity in that. Rebbe Akiva, when he was with his chaverim once again, by the bed of their Rebbe, Rebbe Lazar, and all of his chaverim try to cheer up Rebbe Eliezer by telling him how great he had been. Rebbe Akiva says to Rebbe Eliezer, "You're suffering? Chavivin Yisurim. Right now, what's going on right now is good. It should be viewed to you as precious." And what's Rebbe Elazar's reaction? Draw me close, that I can hear the words of Rebbe Akiva. Rebbe Akiva always saw the positive. He always looked for the future. The celebration of Lag BaOmer is a celebration of hope. It's a celebration of not giving up. It's a celebration of starting again. And how beautiful it is. You know the other reason for the celebration of Lag BaOmer? And that is it's the Yom Hilula to Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. The great mystic, Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, in the cave in Miron. He died on Lag BaOmer. And tradition has it that before he died, he revealed all the great teachings of the Book of Splendor of the Zohar. And he declared that it should be a day of celebration. And it was a day of the secrets of creation became revealed. It's a day of another dimension of our Torah was revealed to us. My friends, do you know who one of those 5 students of Rebbe Akiva was? You got it. Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. The 2 great reasons that we are told about the celebration of Lag BaOmer, they're one. Rebbe Akiva lost all his students. He dusted himself up, he picked himself up, and he moved on, and he found new students. And one of those students was Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. We celebrate hope, we celebrate moving on, and we celebrate the ultimate success. Have a great Shabbos. Thank you so much for listening.